Okay, welcome to Carpet Cliff Notes, episode 9. Have you ever heard the term MBB?
No, I haven't. Not at all. It's a brand new thing to me. Never heard of it.
I may have to think about my
Co-host, I've been fired. Yeah.
So you may have been lurking around and you see MBB pop up and you're trying to figure out what does MBB stand for. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the infamous Madame Blueberry. And you can't talk about Madame Blueberry without talking about Benjamin as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about. What did I? Oh,
oh God, it's falling apart already.
No.
It's a coastal.
No, I know that.
No, okay.
I don't know why I went out of order. That's weird. Okay. Let me mark that time.
Yeah, just mark that. Just delete that. Take that out of there.
21. Okay. So Madam. So MBB stands for Madame Blueberry. She was a coastal carpet python that was owned by Will Leary. And yes. Owen and I, will both speak to, when Will Leary was on the scene. He was kind of one of the guys that were into carpets, and what was it, Reptilicus?
Reptilicus reptiles. Yep.
Right. Okay. So Will worked with coastal carpets. He worked with some jungle carpets. He worked with
some IJs. The granite project he had there too.
He also had the spider one that then became the labyrinth project. Which never
happened. But he had a bunch of different small carpet python projects, but he was also one of the guys who was one of the main people that was offering Jags for sale back in the early 2000s that were considered not ridiculously expensive. So, right. Yeah.
So Madame Blueberry was this, I want to say she's kind of like this. She reminds me of like she had like gray tones to her, kind of like an Xanthic caramel type of look.
I would say that she's a classic old school red coastal. The problem is that when people think red coastal, they're thinking of what we have now, and that's not a red coastal. It is, but it's been line bred and it's been improved upon. Original red coastals would hatch out bright red, and then they would slowly transition to kind of like a grayish slate color as they got older. Right. So Madame Blueberry was kind of in that middle phase where she had a lot of gray on her, but she still had flashes of red, yes. Especially in the right light. And I want to say I don't even remember seeing her at all anything younger than the adult pictures that Will Leary had on his website.
No. And we contacted Will Leary, and he doesn't remember where she came from. So I don't know. We don't know who produced her. I reached out to a couple other people to try to figure that out. Nobody seems to know. So, no worries though. She was bred with an animal. So, like Owen said, MBB is associated with the red gene and coastal carpets, right? And it's thought this red gene is a polygenic type of hypomelanistic trait. And with age, they fully express the genes, but they tend to lose the black with age. But like Owen was saying, in the earlier days when, really, hats off have to go to Eric Hernandez and Jason Balin, because they've really pushed this gene forward, with selective breeding and whatnot. And they've been able to, unlock keeping the animals nicer into adulthood.
Right. I mean, that was Balin's, that was Balin's thing always in the beginning.
Yeah.
He had a couple reds and he would hold on to them and he would kind of raise them up and he would see how long the red would progress. And I remember seeing a couple different animals. The problem is that these babies would hatch out and they'd be almost like albino with the colors when they hatched out, and that would fade. And a lot of things, the thing is that Madame Blueberry was constantly bred to Benjamin, who was a very, very pretty jaguar at the time. So a lot of people put a lot of stock in the offspring colors coming from Benjamin. And I think as we progressed further down the line, we kind of figured out that it was really Madame Blueberry is where all the really nice red colors and all the colors in the saddles and stuff came from. So it took a lot of work to kind of, because she was bred to Benjamin, there weren't a lot of just pure raw non-Jag MBB things running around out there. They were called the siblings at the time, the Jag siblings.
Sibs.
Yeah, when really it's just a damn coastal. So
how dare you try to market it like that?
Exactly. How dare you attempt to market it? It's the damn coastal. So by taking the MBB siblings, the non-Jags, and mixing them things with like tigers, and even with just each other, you eventually started getting the colors to come out and kind of taking them away from the Jaguar having any kind of influence.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to Benjamin and Madame Blueberry, they're, the thought that, it's kind of confusing, right? Because in the early days of carpets, people would see these odd things pop up. And I think at the time, I would guess that a lot of them didn't know if they were looking at something different, or is this just carpets being variable like they are, and I think like a lot of people would, so when it came to breeding, Jag to a coastal, coastal to coastal, today, if they hatched out, we would call them coastals. But back then, they thought that maybe they had some, and I'm sure that this ties to the red gene, because you would get these crazy looking red babies that would pop out of this clutch. So what is that? Is it a morph? Is it just what, similar to what happens with chondros, where they hatch out and it's an ontogenic color change? What really is going on? I mean, they used to call the red Jags red hypo Jags.
Talon is a red hypo ornate Jaguar.
Right.
None of those words other than Jaguar mean anything.
Right. And at the time, hypo wasn't a thing.
Right. Exactly.
In the U.S.
And that's the thing. Like, if it was a heavy pattern Jaguar, it was called an ornate Jaguar. Now it's just a Jaguar. Right. And the red that Talon is not the red that we see in Eric Hernandez and Jason Balin stuff. Even though Balin did breed, he produced Talon. It's not there. It's just that his father was red, so it carried over. So, and also, like, I had MBB Benjamin Jag, and I bred her, and she threw a bright red female. Like, I mean, it was bright as all hell, and it was gorgeous. And I was on the fence about keeping it, and I brought it to a show, and I sold it, and I'm like, no, I shouldn't have done that. Like, so even the removal, even the Jags from the MBB line could throw red normal babies.
Yeah. So it's, again, so today I've seen it come up a couple times on Facebook, where somebody comes along and they call this non-hypo Jag a red hypo Jag.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And it seems like some of the verbiage that had happened back in the early 2000s.
But we're getting to a point where
2010, say.
Yeah. But we're getting to a point where that shit can mean something now. There are hypos, there are Jags, and there are reds. So there could be a red hypo Jaguar. Right. And it's not going to look like it was in 2004, 2008.
So if you're going out and you're going to buy a hypo or a red hypo Jag, understand that, be very question whether or not this is coming from, is this MBB line red? Then you also have the confusion where you have sort of these other lines of red coastal carpets, because we kind of look at it like there's two lines, right? There's the MBB line, and then Jason Balin sort of used the MBB reds, but he sort of outcrossed it. So I don't necessarily know if I should have asked him this question, if he considers that a separate line, or was he just outcrossing MBB? Because at some point, is it the line that we're looking at, or is it the gene that we're looking at? I would say
that, but the problem is that he had the reds from that red tri-stripe that he had, And he was building that because that's right. And that's where we had they had the red tiger line and stuff like that. So the line was established, and then it was outcrossed to animal that could trace back to MBB red line. So, but then he didn't keep going with it. He kind of just went off on his own little thing. So I think it was outcrossed, but I think it was also I think he added the MBB to enhance it, but I think it was an established line before.
Yeah. So we used that weird we actually got from Will Leary. So
I know.
So Jason Balin and Will Leary kind of worked a lot back in the early days, especially with Tiger Jags.
Right, because Balin was the only one with Tigers, and Leary was the only one with Jags.
Yeah, I don't really like you, but we're gonna have to.
And then together. Tiger Jags came, it's. And that's what's hilarious is you think about it is Leary had that red tri-step animal and Madame Blueberry, and it's oh my God, pair them together. And he didn't. It's well,
I think probably because he wanted to produce Jags so he could, you could sell them and.
Oh yeah, and that was the funniest thing is that the Jags were so variable that the ones he had for sale were on his website were good and all. And then after I bought one, he's like, "Hey, if you want this girl too, I'll throw her in the box." And it was a phenomenal milk white female with orange saddles, and I'm oh, it's sweet God, but I have no more money. It was
right.
So
Benjamin was produced by John Eric Engel, and you've probably heard that name, but he was sort of the guy that actually founded the Jag gene. And he's unsure what the locality of coastals that he used, but he bred a pair in 1999. He produced 12 babies. 4 were normal, 8 were Jags. All of those snakes, all those Jags, and all those snakes went to the U.S. One of them was Benjamin, and Benjamin was bred to a coastal carpet called Madame Blueberry, and that founded the carpets that today we call red or red Jags.
Do you think maybe? And I know this sounds crazy, but do you think maybe that Madame Blueberry is somewhat Brisbane, and then maybe the coastals that he bred to the Jag is Brisbane as well? I mean,
you're on the same path as me.
Oh, good. Yeah, so there's a lot of Brisbane happening here.
There's an article, right? There's an article, and I've showed you this article. We talked about it on our Coastal Carpet show and all that. But in this article, it's basically John Eric Engel talking about. I say John. It sounds like I'm saying John. Jan Eric Engel talks about how the process that he went through to actually breed at not only coastal carpets but to produce the first Jag, right? Mm-hmm. So he did use Brisbane coastals in his breedings. Whether or not that was used for Benjamin or Madame Blue, and we don't even know if Madame Blueberry came from
him.
I would think that if Will. That would be something that would stick out to Will,
You think if you just got the pair from the same guy, I mean,
right.
But also, again, coastals in that time were huge and big, and I mean, the original Jags in the early 2000s, they got monstrous, and that just screams Brisbane to me. And also the different colors, and we're sitting there going well, Benjamin and Madame Blueberry produced these great looking babies. Well, yeah, that's probably because they were high percentage Brisbanes.
Could be, so just so everybody understands what we're talking about, the Brisbane is a locality of coastal carpet python that sort of comes from the southern range of the coastal carpet pythons, where they're from, right? So in that more southern range, they tend to get bigger. Mm-hmm. And I think this is where, when we see all those pictures from Australia of these coastal carpets with these huge heads and big meals in their guts, and it's whoa, that's a coastal carpet. They get big, and that's coming from typically from that more southerly range. And red babies are shown to be thrown in those southerly range of coastal carpets, where the northern coastal carpets, or are they jungle? Who knows? The northern animals don't throw red babies. So,
that makes a lot of sense to me. So, and like I said, my first Jags were monsters. Totally huge. So.
Right.
I would not be shocked if somebody came out and said, "Oh yeah, they were all Brisbane." So,
nor would I. A lot of those morphs, like if you look at probably the best place to go and check this out would probably be Nick Mutton's website, inlandreptile.com. You can go in there and you can look at the lineage charts and stuff. And you can see like, I know Paul, in a lot of his breedings, he would use like Rockhamptons, coastal carpets and stuff. And they're very, very specific on what they're breeding, especially when they're trying to work with traits like caramel and hypo, because it could be very misleading if you breed, say a hypo or a caramel to something that's going to throw red babies, because when they all are born, they will all be red.
Yeah.
You won't be able to tell.
Yeah.
The caramel,
use the Rockhampton
to red.
Because the Rockhampton's like the opposite.
Yes. Yeah. So that's sort of like that thinking. So so they're two animals, pretty famous in the carpet python world, Madam Blueberry and Benjamin. Just so everybody knows, Benjamin was in the Reptiles magazine as a white jag.
That's amazing. And that's the thing, like, the pictures of Benjamin,
unbelievable.
He was a gorgeous cream-colored jag that everybody flipped their lid over, that he was going to be, everybody wanted a baby from him. And I fell victim to that. Like, I was lined up to buy a Jaguar from Justin Zoolander, and I pulled out of it because a Jag from MBB and Benjamin became available.
Oh, Justin, I'm so sorry.
I apologized several times.
I'm so sorry.
You grow up and you're like, I'm never going to talk to these people again. And they're like, oh, shit.
Next thing you know, you're Herb from West Texas.
I was waiting for him in the dark to be like, so, 2008.
Where'd Owen go?
Oh, my God. This is
Owen around? I don't know what happened to him.
Owen said he'll meet up with us later. What? Like, yeah, no. I was waiting for it. But and that's the thing where it's like you fell victim to it, but then there are no pictures of Benjamin when he became an older animal, which if you see pictures of people's animals, like for lineage charts or on their Facebook page, and they're not beyond the age of 3, it's because the animal has plateaued as far as color and things like that, and they don't want you to see. They want you to see the animal as it's most beautiful at the age of 3, not when it's like 12 and it's kind of fugly looking. Like, I'll tell you right now, Talon at the age of 3 was a pinkish kind of orangey hue, and he had no black tipping. He was gorgeous. Now he's kind of like he's kind of like an off pink color. It's rather dark. He's got a ton of tipping, but he's also over 10. Like, it's
What do you want?
Like, shut up. Like,
poor guy.
12 years old. He's allowed to look a little like, I don't look like what I did when I was 18. Thank God. Thank God that's over.
I wish I looked like I did when I was 18. I'm sorry. I'm going to go the opposite way, Owen.
I was being sarcastic.
Those were the days.
Anyway, back on topic.
Yes.
A lot of people got into that, and then they were kind of surprised when their Jags, when they got them, they got yellow. And that's what Jags do. Or they got this off white, this off pink. Everybody thought their Jag was going to be bone white.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the Tigers were bone white. And
I know, right? Something's not right here. I don't understand.
We had it. It was there.
You just went the wrong way. But those were the days. But anyway, that's Madam Blueberry and that's Benjamin. So if you have any other questions or if you wanted to hear a specific topic that for us to hit on, send that to info@moreliapythonradio.com. Our website is moreliapythonradio.com. And Carpet Cliff Notes is part of the Morelia Python Radio Network. So if you want to follow us, please go and subscribe to Carpet Cliff Notes on whatever podcast app you choose. And be sure to check out our other podcasts as well, Morelia Python Radio, Colubrid Corner, and Student of the Serpent.
Sweet.